All right, welcome to What the Tech, the show that cuts through all the hype. And boy, do we have a story for you today. It's a classic tech fairy tale, the kind that sounds almost too good to be true. We're talking about a tiny island, a simple two-letter domain, and a $39 million jackpot.
Yeah, you heard that right. We're diving into the story of the Caribbean island of Anguilla. This is a place that pretty much just stumbled into a massive multi-million-dollar windfall, all thanks to the AI explosion we're all living through.
Just look at that number, $39 million. To put that in perspective for you, that's nearly a quarter of the entire government's revenue last year. And it all came from two little letters, AI.
So, the big question is, right? Is this tech fairy tale just too good to be true? Well, we're going to break it all down. First, we'll get into the incredible story, the how it happened, and then we're going to give you the hard-edged analysis you won't hear anywhere else, digging into the risks hiding just beneath the surface.
Okay, so let's set the scene. The story actually starts way back in the 1980s. Anguilla, a tiny British overseas territory, we're talking just 16,000 people, gets assigned its country code domain .ai. And for decades, it was basically just a technical footnote. Nobody thought twice about it. And then, boom, the artificial intelligence revolution hits. And all of a sudden, that sleepy little domain, it becomes digital gold, like prime real estate. You have tech entrepreneurs like Dharmesh Shah seeing this insane branding potential. He reportedly dropped a staggering $700,000 for one address, u.ai. Wild.
And it wasn't just him. Just look at this growth. We're talking about the number of .ai websites absolutely skyrocketing. It went from under 50,000 in 2020 to, get this, over 850,000 today. And all that registration money, it's pouring straight into the island's economy.
And on the surface, this is a perfect story, right? It's a feel-good story. This windfall is funding a new airport, infrastructure, better healthcare. It's helping a small nation diversify away from an economy that's super vulnerable to hurricanes, because it's all based on tourism. But that's where the simple, happy story ends, and where our analysis begins.
Okay, now for the What the Tech analysis. Let's get real for a second. We have to be crystal clear about what this is. This isn't some brilliant, visionary economic policy at play. Nope. This is pure, unadulterated, dumb luck.
Think about it. Anguilla has zero control over the demand for .ai domains. They're just surfing a massive wave of market hype. And what do we know about hype waves? They always crash. And it could happen just as fast as it all started.
And this chart right here really tells the story. See that big slice? 23% of the government's entire revenue is now tied to this one super volatile, hype-driven asset. That's not just a risk. That is a dangerously concentrated bet. This isn't stability, folks. This is fragility. Plain and simple.
So you might think, hey, they diversified their revenue. And yeah, technically they did. But what they didn't do is diversify their risk. In fact, they might have made it worse. Now they have two incredibly volatile income streams, both totally exposed to massive shocks they can't control. One is Mother Nature with hurricanes, and the other is the fickle whims of Silicon Valley. Yikes.
And if you're thinking, has something like this happened before? Oh, you bet it has. To really get the stakes here, we need to look at a perfect cautionary tale. The tiny Pacific nation of Tuvalu and its .tv domain.
So Tuvalu made a massive mistake. Back in the 90s, they locked themselves into a fixed-fee deal. Sounded good at the time, right? But as the internet exploded, that fee became, and I'm quoting their own finance minister, peanuts. Now, credit where it's due, Anguilla was smart. They learned from this and used a revenue-sharing model. Definitely a good move.
So they dodged that bullet. They avoided the fixed fee trap. But, and this is a big but, have they fallen into a totally different kind of trap? See, here's the twist. To protect their registry from, a hurricane knocking it offline, they did something that sounds sensible. They moved all the technical control and hosting offshore to a vendor in the US. The problem? Their single biggest new asset is no longer under their own jurisdiction. All their operational leverage, their bargaining power, it's all in the hands of a foreign company now.
And this move, this outsourcing of control, opens up a whole new can of worms. A whole bunch of risks that you definitely won't hear about in the happy, feel-good version of this story.
So what are we talking about? Well, think about it. Auditing, policy enforcement, what happens in a legal dispute, it all now depends on a foreign vendor. But for me, the biggest red flag is what's missing. There is zero mention of a sovereign wealth fund. That's like rule number 1 for managing a giant, unexpected pile of cash. You protect it for the future.
And if you don't believe me, listen to this. This is the kicker. Even Dharmesh Shah, the guy who spent $700 grand on WtT, basically admits he thinks .com is the better long-term bet. When one of your biggest investors is telling you it's a trend, well, that tells you everything you need to know. The hype clock is absolutely ticking.
So, let's be clear. The crucial point here isn't that Anguilla got lucky. It's about what they do next. This isn't just about pointing out the problems. It's about strategy. So here's the WtT playbook on how to turn this temporary windfall into a lasting legacy.
Okay, here it is, the 4-step strategy. Step 1, bank the surplus. Put it in a protected investment vehicle. Don't just let it get absorbed into the general budget. Step 2, invest that money in things that have nothing to do with AI hyper-tourism. Think fintech, renewables, something totally different. Step 3, find a way to bring more operational control over the .ai registry back home. And step 4, the most important one, plan for the post-AI mania world right now, before it's too late.
Look, at the end of the day, Anguilla is holding a winning lottery ticket. The question is, will they cash it in before it expires? Because the difference between a fleeting jackpot and a truly sustainable future is simple. Are you going to treat this like a prize you spend or an asset you invest? The world is watching.